You can't argue physics, calories in, calories out. That's a scientific fact. But with genetics, that make it so much harder than the average person.
It's so funny because calories in, calories out. It is simple. Something so simple, but we like to make it complicated. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reacting to a fitness influencer named Jesse James West. I'm talking about, is obesity a choice? Let's check it out.
Do not agree with being obese in any way, shape, or form. I don't think it's a good thing in any way, shape, or form.
You can't argue physics, calories in, calories out. That's a scientific fact. But there's other hurdles that I've had to overcome with genetics that make it so much harder than the average person.
Just by looking.
You have one person telling the truth that obesity is not okay, it's unhealthy, and you have the other person who's agreeing on that sort of factor, but at the same time throw up excuse in there for the reason why he is obese. And he makes a good point, the obese guy. He says it's calories in, calories out. It's so funny because calories in, calories out. It is simple. Something so simple, but we like to make it complicated. And we all do that. There's sometimes the answer can be right in front of us, yet we decide, you know what, let me go that way and try to figure it out on our own. And we wonder why we're still swallowed up in our own mistakes. And I see in the society that we have a tendency of making excuses, like stacking Jenga block of excuses on top of each other, justifying our own inadequacies, justifying our own mistakes and our own faults, and we don't want to take accountability. We're so focused on the delivery of the message of the truth rather than substance and meaning that comes from the truth. I love you enough to tell you the truth and only the truth and not comfort you with a lie to make you feel good about yourself. Why do we have to play professional victim? Victims go nowhere. That's a losing mentality. We all have untapped potential that we could exceed. Instead of focusing on our mistakes, focus on building from it and growing from it and working towards achievements. Change is always going to be possible, but it's your choice. It's my choice to get out of bed. It's my choice to what foods I'm going to be consuming. It's my choice if I'm going to be active today. It's my choice if I'm going to film these videos and be consistent. Just because you don't have good genetics doesn't mean that you can not still be healthy. Yeah, it may be harder, it may be more difficult, but think about it. Imagine you overcoming the difficulties of your genetics, how stronger you can be and how disciplined your mind will be more than others. For example, me, I don't have the best bodybuilding genetics for muscle. Should I not go work out? Should I not reach my potential? We like to blame other people for our own mistakes, for our own problems, and bury the problems under. But what that's going to do is let the problems continue to resurface and circulate in your mind and literally consume you, almost eat you alive. Change is always going to be at the palm of your hand if you decide to. And there's a guy in this other clip where he talks about how he was overweight and he decided to overcome it.
Percent consistent. I cheated once my entire
What
journey.
made you make this change?
There was one very specific moment that happened. I turned around in bed and I was out of breath.
Wow.
I woke up, turned around in bed, I was like, oh, this can't be it.
How did you feel about yourself before you made this transformation? When you looked in the mirror?
That's a hard one, and I get emotional sometimes just thinking about it.
Okay.
But I hated myself.
He got tired of the same perpetual unhealthy lifestyle that he was pursuing, that all it took was one moment that he decided to make that change. Change can happen in an instant. You just have to make that deciding factor. Put consistent repetition towards your goal, therefore you can achieve it. He got tired of living in the same overweight body. Environment doesn't have to shape us. It's the meaning of the environment that can literally change our trajectory of where we're going to go in our life. I want to pivot to something biblical where he talks about gluttony. Philippians chapter 3, verse 19, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who set their minds on earthly things. And most people are going to worship the world, worship our own self, and believe that we can figure it out on our own. And worshiping your own belly is worshiping the pleasure of your stomach, only viewing food as a source of comfort rather than a source of fuel. We have to change that mindset and realize that food, it cannot be our comfort. We're going to be unhealthy and it's going to eat us up alive. Food should be a source of fuel, a source of nutrition, how we can still have a longevity life that's sustainable and that's worth living. And why I want to pivot to Jesus is because Jesus, when he came down here, he didn't condemn anybody, but he told people the truth. He wasn't so focused on how should I deliver this message. I'm going to tell them in a loving manner, but disclosing full transparency, not tiptoeing around the truth and beating around the bush. We are all imperfect people, just like me, trying to chase perfection, and it'll never work. Jesus is the embodiment of perfection. That's why Jesus talks about dying to your old self and living for him, putting on the new coat of flesh, of righteousness, of obedience, of discipline, for our work ethic, that we have the potential to change our life, but living through the eyes of Jesus, not by the eyes of our own self. It's the same thing with obesity. You can die to your old past, get rid of the old past. The things that hurt you the most, like the truth. You may acknowledge the truth, but if you don't admit the truth, then you're going to be stuck in your own ways. My best advice, honestly, is to give all those burdens that you feel, like misery, laziness, give it to Jesus, because Jesus will make a way with it. He'll make a way in your life if you allow it. Thank you for watching this video. If you're new for the first time, subscribe, drop a comment, like this video, follow all the socials in the link down below in the description. As for that, I'm going to see you in the next one.